Well, I have a,
At Medina, is it?
yeah, I lecture there,
Okay.
and I have a class on a Saturday there. I lecture there every month, so like a week, every 2 months. And I have my school as well that I run in Parkwood for youngsters like madrasa.
Oh,
But like they focus on a particular way to teach them, not the classical text we do with them.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Maulana Daud or you guys?
No, it's Masjid Noor that is doubled. One of the manis, one of Mu'adh manis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna ask you about yourself because obviously you've done all of these things to highlight people, so I need to highlight you now, right? I'm going to.
We need to highlight others and not ourselves.
No. Well, okay, I understand that, and you can mention that, and I think people will realize this as well. But I need to know your motivation behind doing it,
Okay.
and your personal motivation, basically.
Alright.
Yeah. And Khalil as well.
Go for it.
Is it on? Is that on?
It's on the.
Can they hear us?
They should be able to, yeah.
Yeah.
They just go for it.
Okay, we're starting now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to VOC's new youth show. Now, one of the messages that came through by the 20-year-old person, and I hope you realize that 20 is the midpoint of youth, right? And I'm a 20-year-old as well, so we should be able to actually cover all of the various issues that we face at the age of 20. And we know that some of these Sahaba were at the age of 20 when they supported the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, Nasrina Shabab, that the youth were the transformative element within the society. She says that some ideas that I suggest that can be discussed on your show, maybe of inspiration, is about further and our careers with regards to academics and with regards to Islamic education. Now, many times people don't do so well at school. Does that mean you should necessarily stop and go do your Islamic studies? Is that what Islam wants us to do? And so these are questions that we will deal with in detail in the coming weeks, absolutely. And just to give you the short answer, and we don't want any weekend muftis, so I can't just give you a short answer, obviously. So, but what I do want to say is that Islam is a holistic religion, right? And as youth, we should view it through the lens that Islam is not just the ritualistic, it's the spiritualistic. It's the spiritualistic. Obviously, all your English teachers out there will be telling you never to say spiritualistic, obviously, so spiritual. And it deals with the way of being. You know, how do we understand the nature of Islam and the nature of the modern world to provide those necessary Islamic responses? Now, speaking to people who are engaged in that by highlighting individuals within the community that needs to be highlighted in order for us to be inspired to, bridge that gap between what we view as our religion and also what we view as the modern world, is our members, are people who founded AccidentalMuslims.com, and that is Zahir Parker. I should say he's a lawyer, obviously, is Zahir Parker, or advocate, I don't know.
Lawyer.
He's just a lawyer.
Attorney.
Attorney.
Zahir
Parker. And Khalil Alika. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I really, it was such short notice. To be honest, I was surprised and I was happy at the same time that you agreed to this. But it's something that really symbolizes your attitude to all of this. And I know you had Faisal say it recently on your show, on your podcast, and he said that if you cannot be woken up by 3 or 4 in the morning to help someone, then you shouldn't be woken up at all. And I mean, just yesterday I asked you to be on the show, so here you are. So thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, can't complain. Pleasure to be here. Nice surroundings, alhamdulillah.
And you, Khalil?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, and yeah, it's an honor.
Yeah, so why Accidental Muslims? AccidentalMuslims.com is a movement platform online whereby we showcase leaders. Okay, can you tell us about that?
So, firstly, why Accidental Muslims? And that's why we actually named it Accidental Muslims, because every person that we interact with, whether it's our guest, whether it's someone on social media, they'll ask why accidental Muslims.
Okay.
And because we wanted to tickle that curiosity, because it's a youth brand, and because some of our youth are born into Islam,
Yeah.
they always think, oh, I'm Muslim by accident.
Okay.
And so this platform is here to inspire Muslims to live with intentionality and to live with purpose.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if I was a non-Muslim, I think that it's a website for ex-Muslims because I'm by accident Muslim.
It's actually good you mentioned that, in terms of non-Muslims as well.
Yeah.
I think it's intriguing. Part of the name, when we sat and we discussed what are we going to name this platform, and Khalil came up with this idea of accidental Muslims. And as we were discussing it, we realized, you know what, it actually could be provocative on many levels. One, it starts the conversation, starts the debate or whatever you want to call it, within yourself firstly. We ask ourselves, am I a Muslim just by chance, like Khalil explained?
Yeah.
Or what am I doing to be the best Muslim that I can? So it's an internal thing first. And secondly, say the non-Muslim does ask, what is an accidental Muslim?
Yeah.
Or maybe accidentally stumbles into a Muslim and starts a conversation. So it was also a bit of a play on words there in that regard. So I think everybody has that potential. You mentioned leaders.
Yeah.
And part of our idea is that everybody has a story to tell. And that's from our little mantra for this season was from cargo to CEO.
Okay.
Everybody has a story. Your neighbor, your auntie's third cousin twice removed. Everybody has a story to tell. And we wanted to highlight that because there's that inspirational part in every story that we believe people will take to heart and maybe push them forward to achieve great things, inshallah.
Yeah, I mean, your slogan on the website is "Live with Purpose." That's your motto, and obviously, what you're trying to do is to add the value of some of people's purpose in their lives. What was the first initial thought that came into your mind? Why should you do this? And when you actually chose to do it?
I think Khalil, please
So
go ahead.
let me give you some background. So I've been listening to podcasting for the past 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And if you look at the top 100 podcasts, you will see no Islamic podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always had this dream to start an Islamic podcast. And so myself and Zaid go back to the MSA days.
Mm-hmm.
And he also, last year we met up and he said, and I told him about podcasting. And that's when he did some research on podcasting. And then he said, Khalil, let's do it. And that's how it started last year, July.
Absolutely. Now, we'll take a break for now, but when we come back, we'll continue speaking to Zaid Park and Khalil Alika on Accidental Muslims, their podcast online to highlight leaders in the community to inspire us to live with purpose.
Are we still live?
Okay, can you move this a bit forward to you?
Okay.
I feel like we're gonna I can't take a long break. From now, it's gonna be
One long stitch.
it's gonna be 18 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
It's fine.
Conversation go flow nicely.
Yeah, it's fine.
You see the
Do
comments.
you want to down more into why we did it? Was it
Yeah.
quite short, or do you want to just move on to the next?
Well, no, we can. Why you did it? Why? Like, what's the motivation?
So here's a nice one.
And
So,
yeah, and then you can also speak about your whatever, your
Let's go
personal
with
Go
motivation.
with it. Okay.
And then we're gonna talk about the actual episodes.
yeah.
Where can people find it?
And also the plan going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, the plan going forward. That will be at the end.
Okay.
Awesome.
And then also I want to speak just about general issues that will affect Muslim youth, and because the youth show.
Yeah.
Yes, brilliant.
That's brilliant. It fits into.
So
So we talk about that parkour thing. How big is that? What's happening?
So the madrasa has been always getting questions like when they start. The masjid, sorry, I shouldn't know when whether they're gonna start madrasa for the youth of the area and surrounding areas, and so they approached me. I'm close to the sheikh as well, Mullah Mani, and so he asked me to just start it, and so I did, and so now this is the third week. And so I'm only starting in March. Yeah.
MashaAllah. Which was
So myself, that Russian Karim Maliki, I don't know if you know him. Karim Maliki, he's on Facebook. And 30 children only in the beginning. Yeah, it's good, alhamdulillah. And we focus on like what I'm teaching. I taught Zanuji and then Risalat al-Jamia, which is a book that encompasses the basics of Islamic and Ihsan. Right?
Okay. Where did you study one?
Where did I
Where did you
study?
study, yeah?
I don't teach them books that I haven't studied. I only teach them books that I studied.
Okay.
My sheikhs that I've studied with privately is Sheikh Siraj Hendricks, Ahmed Hendricks, the
Okay.
Zawiya.
Okay.
You know them?
I know him, yeah.
I studied with Muhammad Al Maliki in the Mecca.
Okay.
I am listening, and I'm a 56-year-old youth.
You can give me comments. I don't mind.
Sadia Amin.
Okay. And then I studied in Medina Institute as well.
Okay.
That was very intensive actually. But I didn't just study the course, I studied privately with the sheikhs there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Must
And
have
then
been
I went to then I studied for 2 months with Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. I don't know if you know him.
Brilliant.
And then my father-in-law as well, I studied with him. My future father-in-law.
Who's your future
Called Hakim Murad, I don't know if you know him.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm still young. So I'm
I
studying
know.
politics, philosophy, economics now.
Okay.
And Arabic and religious studies.
Awesome.
4
man.
majors now.
Lovely.
Yeah. But I'm definitely gonna go further. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the new youth show on VOC. And I am struggling to say the name because I don't have a name yet, and I'm waiting for people's WhatsApp messages. I have some names from some people. What do you think about Youth on Point? I don't know if that sits well with anyone. I mean, I had the slogan "Get used to it," but I didn't get any. I didn't get any laughs. Unless I got some laughs now. So it was over in the studio earlier. So Zahir and Khalil, I mean, I'll direct this to Zahir. Again, why did you start this? Can you just continue elaborate on that?
I think last year, like Khalil said, when we met up, our background is from the MSA, obviously, the Muslim Students Association. And basically, once you're in an organization like that, once you volunteer, you're always looking to see how you can improve, add purpose, add value to everybody. So when Khalil mentioned this podcasting platform, and he's the technology guy in this relationship, if I can put it that way,
Okay.
I did some research, and then I thought this is a nice way to reach out to the youth, reach out to people as well. And I suppose, like you mentioned earlier, the median of youth is between 20 and 40. So I find myself on the better side of 30. So
Okay.
I think once you reach that stage, you feel that you have some experience and you can share that experiences with others. And coupled to that, obviously, all the issues like you mentioned earlier, then it was off air, in terms of the youth issues and how to actually speak to youth. So today, everybody has a smartphone.
Yeah.
And podcasting and the medium which you can get the medium through is through the
Yeah.
smartphone. So why not get a program which speaks to youth, that speaks to adding purpose and value? So that is basically the background why we decided to get involved with AccidentalMuslims.com, because we want people to live at a higher level of purpose, higher sort of aim higher. Shoot for the stars. Go for it.
Now, what's interesting is that, and you'll come to the exact episodes that you have been doing, or the episodes that you've been doing. You don't once mention yourself and talk about your own personal stories. One thing that I can mention that I know about you is that you're very much, Zahir specifically, and also Khalil, that you very much focus on social justice, and that's why you're involved in Al-Jamia. If I can say, is that correct?
It's Al-Jamaa part.
Al-Jamaa, sorry. I always get my jeeps wrong, Anyway, so just looking at that, and if I can come to Khalil now, what do you feel is needed when it comes to motivations behind why we do things? Because the Prophet and the Quran says, "Aqibu bi mithli ma aqibtum bi," right? Fight those who fight you with the tools that they fight you with. And so there's so much, effects that we get on social media, and we're talking now to youth, but I mean, you just read a comment from a 51-year-old youth on Facebook Live, right? What is your message, and that what should our motivation be behind this as Muslims?
So our motivation as part of AccidentalMuslims.com is that as he said, it's smartphones, and as you said, it's social media. And today's youth, they're addicted to this device.
Yeah.
And they subconsciously and consciously comparing themselves to others. And so what we're trying to do, and we need to protect them. And this platform is there to inspire them, to tell them exactly what success is about, how to be more grateful, to love your family. We also inspire them to build a career and excel. And as I said, to living up to their highest potential. We have this word called arete, which is a Greek word.
Arete.
Yes, living to your highest potential. And that's what we want our Muslim youth to do.
Yes, so there are some messages coming through that Auntie Avida is alluding to of the name of. We will get to that at the end of the show. But just picking up on what you said about the motivation behind that as Muslims, if I look down the actual episodes, we have some of the guests that you've had on already, and I listened to the first few, and I noticed that the first question that you always ask them is always about the reason why they do things, right? You had Muhammad Uthman on speaking about medicine and health management, and as a health manager, can you tell us about the website itself and how people can get to that and what they can expect when they do that?
So there's two ways of listening to our episodes. One, it's streaming, and so if you go to AccidentalMuslims.com, you can actually click on play and you can listen to those episodes. So it streams, and then there's the product. The product is the actual podcast. Where if you have an iPhone, there's a native app which is a podcasting app.
Okay.
You do a search for AccidentalMuslims.com, you find it and you subscribe. And every time there's a new episode, you automatically gets downloaded using your data or Wi-Fi. And for Android, you have to download a specific podcast app and similar process. So that's two ways of actually listening to our episodes.
And then, of course, you can just go to the website and click on the button that says play, and you can get the benefit of listening to the episode as well.
Well, that's what's really interesting. Usually I have to pay like loads for these things. I can already see the impact that you've had on social media on that. But getting to the actual episodes, who have you spoken to thus far, and why have you chosen these people? If I can mention specific, Yusuf Mohammed, Jamaluddin Khan, Faisal Said also.
Well, Khalil and I, when we started this thing, we thought, we're going to try this out. So Muhammad Osman and Yusuf Mohammed, particularly, that we know them. Okay. So we thought we'll run a trial. But alhamdulillah, if you spend time with both Muhammad and Yusuf, particularly, you'll understand why we chose them, because from the MSA days, and we've started during that time Halaqatul Quran. We basically got together as young gentlemen in our early 20s, and we spoke about Quran, and from there it boiled over to doing volunteering, helping this, doing this charity, and eventually we had Reviving the Islamic Spirit. I'm not sure if you remember that conference. And
I was there.
Oh, were you there? Alhamdulillah. So we know the caliber, we know what they have to offer, and both of these gentlemen have now grown from. Muhammad went from just a medical doctor, he's now doing his doctorate at Tigerberg Hospital. Yusuf, for instance, he's grown from a businessman, and now he's at the current COO at Islamic Relief. So both of them have valuable insights, valuable stories. And if you look at certain of the quotes, part of the website that answer your question, we choose certain quotes which the particular speaker or guest mentioned, which we think would have an impactful value. And Yusuf Muhammad's one was, just read that one if you have it there.
Yes, I do. And what's really interesting, I commend you on the presentation of this. At the beginning of each of the sections, to give you an example, that Yusuf Muhammad, entrepreneur and project manager, the COO of Islamic Relief, he says that you call him a traveler seeking shade. I did not get into business to be a billionaire, but rather to feed my family.
If you read that, Yasim, I can just comment that he quoted his father there.
Oh, I see.
If you just hear the stories and the attachment that Yusuf had to his father, you will be inspired to live at that purpose that we were chatting about earlier. And if Yusuf mentioned a traveler seeking shade, he likens himself to that hadith of the Prophet ﷺ.
Yes.
And that's why we we didn't even realize this. This aspect of why we did it actually came through that episode, because he described himself as a traveler seeking shade. And what we want AccidentalMuslims.com to do for these times that we find ourselves political, social, and all of that, we want to be that shade. We want to provide those people with fluctuating spirituality, fluctuating times with whatever problems they're facing. If our episodes, if our guests can provide that shade and give them respite for whatever troubles they have, alhamdulillah, we'll be very happy.
And I have to add to Zahid, if you look at our guests, we chose them with intentionality and with using acumen. And they all have a track record. They all strive for excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And think about leadership. If you think about leadership, the top 4 leadership characteristics, which is science here, and it's 1, honesty, it's 2, competence, 3, inspiring, and 4, forward thinking. And I can guarantee you, all of our guests so far have those 4 characteristics.
It was really interesting also that you highlight, and many times this is not really highlighted, is the female influence in our society. You've had guests such far as Noha Isop, Nadia Musaji, as well as VOC's own Shanaz Ibrahim.
So for us, we actually want to get more females involved.
Yes.
Because also they tend to open up very easily compared to the males as well. Yeah. So alhamdulillah, yeah. So season 2 as well. Like we already started recording for season 2, and we have Khadija Patel, which we met 2 weeks ago. So inshallah, yeah, the more females, the better.
And I think on the issue with regards to the female case, we need to cater for everyone in the community. Alhamdulillah, there's a lot of females out there, a lot of young sisters out there that need some inspiration. Now, if a gentleman keeps on giving that inspiration, alhamdulillah, there's some positivity. But sometimes when a lady speaks to a lady, they speak directly to the lady.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose as well behind getting good quality sisters out there.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't know that exactly, but but I do have a sister. So okay. So getting to these issues, you mentioned we're living in a time of turmoil, and like we were talking about earlier, this is how we should engage it, because the believer is described in the Quran as labanul khalis, as pure milk. Why? Because you are between the 2 excretory and the blood glands and organs of the actual animal, and that is the temptation that we find out there. Now, talking about the turmoil that you find politically, socially, religiously, spiritually as well, what are the main issues that you find affect us as South African Muslims, but particularly the youth?
I think the first thing is identity. One thing that we want to achieve by showcasing these leaders, these people that are having inspiring lives, is the fact that they are Muslim, alhamdulillah. And if we as Muslims, young sisters, youth, can take benefit, there's a guy, he is Muslim, he's not shy of being Muslim.
Yeah.
If he can be proud without that, not the haughtiness or the pride nature, but pride, there is great value that Islam and doing things in an Islamic way has. There's no reason to be shy. I know a lot of friends of mine tell me, they get embarrassed, they don't make wudu at the office because people catch them with their feet in the basin.
Yeah.
But why must you really be shy? Seriously. It's something that you're doing, preparing to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in terms of youth and struggle, if we can get our listeners, or anybody for that sake, to be proud again, to fall back onto that heritage that serves the Prophet so well and the Sahaba so well, and many glorious predecessors so well, then I think we're going in the right direction, inshallah. If we have, Yasin, and many of us will relate to this, is that we always say Islam has the solutions. So let's not be shy. Let's go, let's learn about it, and if someone can teach us about it as well, alhamdulillah, and we can take some inspiration from that, why not?
Now, talking from the marketing perspective of the show, Khalil, how much has it taken, to actually produce this entire project?
It's funny you asked, because we met quite a few people at the Umar Reagan show, and they asked us, are you guys doing this full time now? Because they see so much traction.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, it's going well. It's taking well. If you look at the analytics, and I was telling Zahid before we started this, instead of going wide, let's go deep.
Okay.
And let's not look at the stats. But seeing that I'm coming from the IT background, I love analytics. So if you look at the analytics, it's not only South African listeners. It's from listeners from all over the world, over 60 countries, alhamdulillah. And in terms of downloads, we average 1,000 downloads a month. And alhamdulillah, so we get interaction.
That's amazing, and these are the issues that we should be involved in. Now, with regards to potential, if people know leaders in the community, how can they reach out to you to actually inform you about these people that they know that you might not know, for example?
It's quite simple. You send an email to info@accidentalmuslims.com.
So that's info@
accidentalmuslims.com, and we take it from there. We actually booked out for the next six weeks.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Well, going forward, what are the plans for Accidental Muslims? I noticed, like, what you listen to your first episode and then listen to the 11th episode, you kind of have a different beginning, and so you develop as it, but you're also very professional. What is the plan going forward?
So in terms of the specific programs, we kind of winged it in the beginning, and we kind of developing it as we go along. And I mean, alhamdulillah, we're not used to sitting behind the mics like you are, but as we're getting along, we're developing our own strategy. We're learning about each other and how to interact with guests. So that's in terms of episodes. And obviously, getting the feedback from people is very important. So someone will tell us, to tweak this, tweak that, but that's episode specific. Our main aim for this year, inshallah, is we want to now have basically, how can we say it, unpack and lead to a conference. So basically, and the unconferencing of purpose, that might be our title, we don't know, we're still deciding, but we want to have a conference where our guests will be invited and basically can interact via a seminar or conference session with our audience at that stage, a live audience, so to speak, and we're going to kind of allow them to, our guests to present on the day. We're still tweaking the format, but the format's not going to be a long lecture of 40 minutes or 50 minutes. We want to get impactful, get to the point, 10, 15, 20-minute sessions per guest, plus panel discussion. So that's the one aim. We're working on a Ramadan series now as well. That's another project that we're involved in. And like Khalil mentioned earlier, we're really looking forward to season 2 and 3. So in terms of our next great venture is the conference. That's really exciting us, because if we can get our listenership in one venue to interact with our guests, I think even more purpose, even more value can be added, and that's what we're striving, is to add value.
Yes, I'm very sure that the listeners are definitely interested in that conference. I know that on your website you mentioned that will happen mid-September, but obviously in order to make sure that you know the date, you have to follow Accidental Muslims, and you can obviously email them at info@accidentalmuslims.com, or you can follow them on Facebook, and that's probably how I also got to know about you, on Facebook at accidentalmuslims.com. That is Hir Parker and Khalil Alika. You can also download the app on app called Native App, and then you can find Accidental Muslims. If you're an Android user, which I am, but my phone's not very good, you can just download podcast per podcast. Of course, you can also visit the website accidentalmuslims.com. In conclusion, is there anything else you want to mention in just 1 minute?
So I want to go back to the conference. We've noticed that the youth, they don't want to listen to an imam shouting anymore. And so that's why we're starting to build this conference. In short, we will have one in Cape Town. We're definitely dreaming big to have one in Joburg and in Durban, and we only do it annually. And it's going to be a high quality production.
You mentioned TED Light conference. That's really interesting, because many times people look to the West to have these great things. We should have it too.
Exactly. So it's going to be curated. We want our speakers to come for rehearsals. We want our speakers to talk to a panel first prior to going on stage.
Absolutely. Quality over quantity. That is the message of Zahir Parker and Khalil Alika from AccidentalMuslims.com. Thank you very much for joining me.
No, thank you for having us, Yasin.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
And that was the AccidentalMuslims.com. We will now add for break for ads, and when we come back, we will be speaking to the rise of young Muslim YouTubers in Cape Town.
Rise of Muslim YouTubers.
Yeah,
Autism, right?
Yeah, quite a few. I have a few friends that